Hello and welcome to this special coverage of the big story today. Japanese company Kubota is all set to increase its stake in Escorts. Kubota's stake will go from 9% to 54% via an open offer route where they have announced the open offer for 2,000 rupees a share. We have with us the deal makers themselves, Nikhil Nanda, the chairman and managing director of Escorts, and Yuichi Kitao, the president and representative director at the Kubota Corporation. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Nikhil, I want to start with you. Congratulations first on the deal. Since you do hold about 14% stake in Escorts, tell us a little bit about what the rationale is behind this deal and what happens to your stake eventually.
So Sonia, firstly, thank you very much. I think this is a very proud moment for the country and for Escorts and for my personal family. It's a historic day where a partner like Kubota is going to join hands with the Escorts to create a very powerful charter of making a farm mechanization solution of products of what we will introduce jointly for the Indian market. I'm extremely excited with the synergies of what will be brought in from Japan and what Escorts has already developed in the past few years. I think the products are going to complement each other, and the kind of products that we will add in addition to the tractors like harvester machines and other farm mechanization products will further add to the entire impact that we want to create as a company between Kubota and Escorts. For me, this was an important decision at Escorts because as a family member, it is my fiduciary responsibility to ensure Escorts has the best of ingredients. And I think with this deal, not only we get technology, we also create an institution out of Escorts. Escorts will get the best of processes. We will have global access to markets through Kubota distribution network. And I think the future will only create excitement from all aspects, be it a supplier who will have larger, promising supply chain businesses and the distributors who are going to get the best of processes to distribute the products that we will jointly.
So just to follow up there, Nikhil, we do understand that you will continue to be the chairman and managing director of Escorts. But what happens to that 14% stake that you own? At any point in time, would you be looking to sell further? And any change in the management structure at all?
So Sonia, I want to put all the rumors to rest. There is no intention whatsoever to sell any shares from the Nanda family. We are totally committed. Mr. H.P. Nanda, the founder of Escorts, laid the foundation and the platform of Escorts to serve the nation, to provide farm mechanization products for the larger good. I, as a third generation representative, I'm totally committed to carry that legacy forward. So I would just want to confirm that in this transaction, the family has not sold any shares. We are actually doubling down on the vision of what Kubota and Escorts will build together. And I think with today's transaction, I feel proud that we are going to institutionalize an Escorts flag will always will stand tall in the domestic market and for the international market.
Okay, so that clarification is very important. Let's get Yuichi Kitao as well. He's the president of Kubota Corporation. Mr. Kitao, you tell us, I did read the press release that Kubota put out where they're very optimistic on the India farm equipment business. But what are the synergies and what are the future plans that Kubota has for India?
Escort will be positioned as an important base of value for the mining machinery in India and globally. The Kubota plans to expand the scope of collaboration from tractors to the entire machinery business, like combine harvesters, construction machinery, and engines, as Nanda-san said. At the same time, we will promote other power sources, such as the electric tractor, as an important theme to realize a carbon neutral society. So all the agricultural machinery areas are target areas for both companies for the future. So I'm very exciting to make a business much bigger together with Escorts.
Less than 10% stake in 2018 when you first bought 9% stake in Escorts to now going all the way up to more than 50% if the open offer is successful. What's been your experience in the last 4 or 5 years in Escorts, and where you think this joint venture is going to take the combined entity to in the next few years from now?
We have a discussion between Escorts and Kubota for several years, and Nanda-san and I talking about the future expansion of the business, and we have committed. We are committed to make both business strong all over the world.
Okay, Nikhil, same question to you as well. Kubota has been with you in the last 4-5 years. They bought first 9% stake, and now looking at like a major partner in this company. What has been your learnings when they came in, and as a combined entity, what's the kind of vision that you look forward to for this company over the next few years from now?
I'm very, very excited. I think when the relationship started, when I met with Kubotas first in 2016-17, it was just a manufacturing JV. Then last year, as you're aware, they came in at 10% equity in Escorts, and Escorts took 40% in their sales and distribution network company. With this deal, we are making one entity, one value, one vision, one goalpost. I think now our aspiration is to create a leadership position in the next 5 to 10 years. Between Kubota and Escorts, we are building a medium-term business plan where we are detailing out what kind of products we're going to develop, what kind of products we are going to distribute in India, what kind of hybrid products in terms of the learnings that the two companies can bring in, create the kind of innovative and products which are absolutely world-class. So there are a lot of aspects that the companies are debating, thinking, planning. And I think the learning is about putting all of this detailing into a very, very, in a process-oriented manner to execute it, to give that wow impact to all the consumers in India and overseas. So we have a branding strategy, which we have already spoken about, the product strategy, and I can't speak in terms of numbers, but all I can say is there are, as Kubotas rightly mentioned, we have some very large plans. And I think India and Japan coming together, this partnership will create one of the most powerful platform of products in the agriculture space, beyond tractors in the full farm solution space.
Yeah. Nikhil, coming to the deal, you very clearly clarified that the promoters are not going to sell any stake, so the question is on the open offer part. If the larger shareholders don't participate in the open offer, will the Nanda family or the promoters tender in the open offer to make sure that the Kubota stake goes up to 50%?
I think all of these options are something we will explore. It's premature for me to comment. I think the board has taken a conscious decision, and we have already shared with you about the decision that we have taken between ourselves and the board. I hope for the best outcome, and we will decide when we need to decide vis-a-vis the question that you've asked. I think it would be premature for me to answer anything at this stage.
Okay, just a final question from my end then, Nikhil. Escorts is always known as a tractor maker, but we know that Escorts is into several other businesses, whether it's in construction, engineering, even in railways, and Kubota has a large presence in that space as well. As a combined entity, what could the synergies be apart from tractors? We do know that Kubota is very optimistic on the combined harvester space as well, but where all do you see the potential over the next couple of years, Nikhil?
So Sonia, apart from tractors, we're looking at harvester machines. There are other engine aspects. Engine also would be something we will be looking at. There'll be other components and aggregates for tractors and harvesters that we will look at. Construction also, as you're aware, Kubota is very strong in the mini excavators. And that is another aspect that we are going to evaluate and assess of how we can create a market for that in India. And all of what we are thinking in terms of the products between Kubota and Escorts will be products that would be built to distribute in India, but also India will become one of the most important hubs for Kubota to use India as a buyback because of the fact that India is so strong in its supply chain and its frugal engineering. And I think that's another component of aspect of the partnership that will add a lot of value for Kubota and in terms of making products competitive, but using one of the finest of technologies for the future. So there's lots on the table, Sonia. As I said, I'm deeply excited. It's a historic moment for Escorts, historic moment for the country. And all I can say is that between Kubota and Escorts, we are deeply, deeply committed to giving the best to our customers and doing what is required to meeting all the aspirations and expectations of our shareholders.
Nikhil, I agree. It's a big deal for you and for the country as well. Last word from you, how the board will change after this whole deal. Will there be more representatives from Kubota who will join the board now?
So the board will continue. We are very fortunate to have a very strong board. I'm also deeply indebted and would like to give all the acknowledgement of thanks to my board of directors who have helped Escorts and me to come to this stage with Kubota. We continue to get guidance from them. The idea of this partnership is to build, is not to take away. And I think whether it's a board, whether there are KMPs, I think Sonia asked me that question earlier, that the KMP and the leadership team will continue. I will continue to be the chairman managing director. So therefore, the trust that we have built between Kubota, between Ketal-san, Watanabe-san, I think is the ingredient of the platform and the foundation to build for the future plans. And we want to assure that the continuity is going to be the essence of what we build for the future.
All right, Nikhil and Mr. Ketal, thank you so much for joining us and all the best for all the synergies that you plan to bring about. In any case, you've created a lot of wealth for shareholders here in India. Hope that continues to be the case. Thanks a lot for joining us. Let's slip into a short break, but on the other side of the break, we will get another top management personnel from Escorts to tell us more about this deal. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Newsmaker. The big newsmaker of the day undoubtedly is the deal that has taken place between Escorts and Kubota, where the Japanese JV partner Kubota has raised their stake in Escorts. Now we do have Bharat Madan, who's the CFO of the company, to take us through the deal contours and to tell us the rationale as well. Bharat, thanks so much for joining us. We do know the deal contours, but you tell us, what are the nitty-gritties of the deal and what's the rationale behind it?
Sure, Sonia. So I'll just explain the transaction structure, the way it's been worked out. So as you know, Escorts will be issuing preferential shares to Kubota, which will be roughly about 6.5%. So currently Kubota holds about 9.1% in the company. And as you know, there's one scheme which is pending with the court for the reduction of first phase of capital, which are the shares which are forming part of the trust, which was about 10% pre-allotment last year. So that scheme is not yet approved. So once that scheme is approved, so that will bring Kubota to about 16.38% after the reduction of those share capital. And currently the structure is the current management, the promoters will continue to be there. They are not selling even a single share in the company. So Mr. Nikhil Nanda will continue to be the chairman and managing director of the company. And there's an arrangement which has been put into place, which is a shareholder agreement which we are signing between both the shareholders, which will likely allow Kubota to come in as a joint promoter. Now that this is going to trigger because it's a joint control which is coming into play. So there will be change in control from sole to joint. So that will bring the triggering of an open offer, which Kubota has announced. So the issuance of preference shares and the open offer is kept at the same price of 2,000 rupees per share. So post open offer, which is for 26% of the capital. So the Kubota stake will likely go up to 44.8%. Now that's assuming they get the entire tendering of 26% in the open offer and this preferential allotment is done. So the ultimate structure is there's an intent by the board and they have actually allowed this to be evaluated and look at the feasibility of cancelling the balance shares also lying in the trust, which is close to 15.5% right now, if we exclude the first phase of the capital reduction, which is still pending with the court, which will be decided after the deal is closed and both the open offer and the preferential issues are decided. So essentially, after that deal, what will happen is the Kubota shareholding after the second capital reduction will likely go up to about 53-54% level. And there'll also be another family, which is the existing promoter, will go up to the individual stake to about 14%. The entire story is that there has to be a single exclusive vehicle for the company in India, for both partners in India. So Escorts will remain an exclusive vehicle for both the partners. So the existing JVs which we have right now with Kubota, both Escorts Kubota India, which is for manufacturing, as well as the sales JV, which is Kubota Agri Machinery India, both will eventually get merged into Escorts. So it will be a single entity, obviously subject to fulfillment of certain conditions. So that will become a single entity for both the partners in India. So that is the brief structure of the transaction.
Okay, so you said that Kubota's stake will eventually go to about 53 to 54% and the Nanda family stake will be at 14%. Just a two-part follow-up here. At any point, will the Nanda family look to sell that 14% stake in the near future? Any talks on that at all? And any change in the management structure post this deal coming through?
No, so there's no intent of selling any shares by the existing promoters. So they'll continue to hold those shares. Even in the agreement, there are no call options or drag rights against the promoters. So they will be in the joint control. But the intent is this is a very unique deal. It's not really a change of control happening here, to going to another acquirer. So this is like a friendly deal, which we are doing with the Kubota, because the relationship we has grown in the last 5 years working and dealing with them. So both the parties have been very, very comfortable in dealing. So it started with the negotiation and started with the joint venture, which we had with the manufacturing. And essentially last year it led to Kubota buying 10% into our company and we buying 40% stake in the sales JV. Now, after working together, I think we feel there's a good relationship, which is, and the trust which has been built between both the partners, and both are willing to take the next step. So this is the intent of the deal. So both partners will continue to be there and they'll jointly control this company. Mr. Nikhil Nanda will continue to be a chairman and managing director of this company, and there will not be any change in the management structure of this company.
Mr. Madan, thanks for joining in and congratulations on the big deal. You explained it very nicely, the whole structure on way the deal will go through. Just to reiterate, the first will be a preferential issue to Kubota of 6.5%, then an open offer. Just a clarity on the share reduction part, the stake entire trust which is held in that the 25%, it will be cancelled in two tranches, right? First 10% the 1.2 crore shares, and the remaining you still need an approval. So the remaining will come after the open offer, is what you are indicating?
Yeah, so after the closing is done and both the deals for preferential and open offer is over, which we expect should be over by end of March. So after that, the board will evaluate and then look at. So the intent is to cancel those balance shares also after this is done.
Correct. But for the first leg of 1.2 crore shares, for which you had asked for an NCLT approval, has that come? Because I think the order is still not passed, I believe. So are you expecting that very soon?
Yeah, so the order has been reserved. So there's a hearing which happened in the end of October. So after that, there's no fresh hearing date has been announced. So whenever it happens next, we expect it should happen very soon, maybe in a few weeks' time. So the first reduction should happen now, maybe in a few days or a few weeks.
Okay. So that is on the deal contours, but Mr. Madan, just to understand what is the future roadmap of this association, because in the press release, Kubota says that they will consider developing and manufacturing of basic combine harvesters and construction machineries as well. Over the next, say, 6 to 12 months, once this deal goes through in its entirety, what could the roadmap be?
So as you know, India is the largest tractors manufacturing market in the world. So obviously this tractors which are made in India, we have been supplying to various countries. They are all the emerging countries actually. India is the base for sourcing those tractors. So we've seen it happening in the industry, and we also seen the way the export volume has been growing. So Kubota has been very bullish on Indian market as well as for sourcing those sort of requirement, for the products from India. So the intent of the partnership is not be restricted to tractor. They're still getting extended to tractors, the other implement space, including harvesters, combined transplanters, and maybe even other implement space, and also going beyond that to construction equipment as well as the engine manufacturing. So Kubota has a very large business in terms of the engine supplies to the industry, to the industrial machinery segment. So that's also the intent. They'll also end up in manufacturing engine and putting the base in India.
Mr. Madan, you very clearly said that promoters are not getting anything, so they are not selling a single share. In that case, what is the rationale or the motivation for such a deal? To get Kubota in, making them a co-promoters in the company. What's the rationale like? What's the large thinking, and what do you think the road ahead for Escorts in partnership with Kubota?
See, one, like I said, obviously is to get a very clear corporate structure, because earlier there was a cumulative structure because of the trust holding, which has been creating quite a confusion, and we've been getting many concerns from the institutional investors, especially on this corporate structure. So that obviously will get cleaned up. Second, the intent is to have the single vehicle in India. So right now operating multiple entities also leads to some conflicts, which can happen. So having a single vehicle in India avoids those conflicts. So it is very focused effort that what this single entity which needs to be grown. I think from the partners perspective, obviously this is a very great partnership. It opens up gate for Escorts, to access the technology which Kubota already has. And they're also intending to open up a major R&D center in India, which will be a global R&D hub, outside the Japan, which will be the largest hub that they're planning to do, which will be there within this company. And a lot of sourcing requirement which will happen, which can get met from India. And obviously in going forward, they're looking at innovation, which is another, I think, very key. So I think in the new product development and the space, they think India has a lot of opportunity. And it's not only the domestic consumption story, but also in terms of the sourcing base for the global markets, which can actually play out very well for both the partners.
Okay. Mr. Madan, a word on the open offer. There is a 26% open offer, as you rightly pointed out. Have you reached out to the large shareholders? I'm specifically asking for someone like Rakesh Jhunjhunwala. He owns a large chunk and he's been very bullish on Escorts for many years now. You all have a very good relationship with him. Have you all reached out to the large shareholders and what they intend to do? And if not, if most of the investors don't participate, how is that Kubota's stake will go up beyond that 16-17% that you explained?
No, we're not reached out to any of the large investors. Obviously, the first deal was to be done and to be signed up, so which has happened today. Obviously, Kubota will be making the public announcement and going ahead with the open offer process, and maybe they will get in touch with those institutional investors in due course of time. Obviously, at this point in time, it's very difficult to say whether they will actually be successful in getting that 26% offer or not. The price they have offered is quite attractive, looking at the current market price and the fair value of the company. So I think there's a good chance for the investors, to tender their shares, especially in not only institutional but also maybe from the retail side. But yes, we're not able to keep our fingers crossed. So really, it's very difficult to predict how much will be the tendering which can happen in this open offer.
Okay. Apart from the tractor business, Kubota also is into heavy engineering, and Escorts has a construction vertical too, which has done quite well. I mean, in Q2, volumes went up over there about 30%. Anything on that side that Kubota will bring to the table, and what kind of growth could we be looking at in the construction vertical?
Yes, the scope of the collaboration actually extends to construction equipment space too. So I think it's not just the agriculture business. So both on the construction equipment space and the engine, like you said, and the implement. I think all these four will be the key pillars on which they're going to build their business on. Kubota has a very large presence in the mini excavator segment and the single product line, which is about $3 billion product line for them globally, and they're the market leader in that category. So their interest is to be into this segment, and they'll work with us really in growing that business further, not only in India, but also for the global markets.
All right, we leave it at that. Mr. Madan, thank you so much for joining us. And once again, congratulations on this deal. So that's the big deal that has taken place in the tractor industry. Thanks so much for watching.